Well, we're, of course, still reading the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. We'll probably read it. Once we finish, we'll start over again. We can never read it too much. And we're on page 662, if you want to keep up with various devotees. We'll start 2/3 of the way down the page at that break. It was 10 or 11 o'clock at night. Sri Ramakrishna was sitting on the small couch, resting against a pillow. M sat on the floor. The master was conversing with him. A lamp burnt on a stand near the wall. The master felt great compassion for his devotees. He wanted to bless M by accepting his personal service. Master, my feet ache. Please rub them gently. M seated himself on the small couch and took the master's feet on his lap. He stroked them. Now and then Sri Ramakrishna would ask his disciple a question. Master, smiling, how did you like today's conversation? M, very much indeed. Master, smiling, how I spoke about the Emperor Akbar. M, it was very good. Master, repeat it to me. M, a fakir came to visit Akbar. The emperor was saying his prayers. In his prayers, he was asking God to give him wealth and riches. Thereupon, the fakir was about to leave the room quietly. Later, when the emperor asked him about it, the fakir said, if I must beg, why should I beg from a beggar? Master, what else did we talk about? M, you told us a great deal about saving up for the future. Master, smiling, what did I say? M, as long as a man feels that he must try, he should make an effort. How well you told us about it at Sinti. Master, what did I say? Do you notice how the master is saying this? What did I say? He's firmly impressing in M's mind and his recall exactly so M could write down the gospel verbatim. By making M repeat it, he knows that M understood it. He knows that M heard the entire story. Master, what did I say? M, God takes upon himself complete responsibility for one who totally depends upon him. It is like a guardian taking charge of a minor. You also told us that at a feast, a child cannot by himself find a place to eat his meal. Someone finds a place for him. Master, no, that is not quite to the point. I said that the child doesn't fall if the father leads him and holds his hand. M, you also described the 3 classes of sadhus. The best sadhu does not move about to get his food. He lives in one place and gets his food there. You told us about the young sadhu who said when he saw the breasts of a young girl, why has she those abscesses? You told us many other things. Master, smiling, what else? M, about the crow of Pampa Lake. He repeated the name of Rama day and night. That is why he couldn't drink the water, though he went to its edge. And about the holy man in whose book was written only Om Rama. And what Hanuman said to Rama. Master, what did he say? M, Hanuman said to Rama, I saw Sita in Ceylon, but it was only her body. Her mind and soul were lying at your feet. And about the Chatak bird, he will not drink anything but rainwater. And about Jnana Yoga and Bhakti Yoga. Master, what did I say about them? And as long as one is conscious of the jar, the ego will certainly remain. As long as one is conscious of I, one cannot get rid of the idea, I am the devotee and thou art God. Master, no, it is not that. The jar doesn't disappear, whether one is conscious of it or not. One cannot get rid of the I. You must reason 1,000 times, still it will not go. M remained silent a few moments. M, you had that talk with Ishan Mukherjee at in the Kali temple. We were very lucky to be there. Master smiling. Yes, yes. Tell me, what did I say? M, you said that work is only the first step. You told us that you said to Shambhu Malik, if God appears before you, will you ask him for a number of hospitals and dispensaries? You said another thing. God does not reveal himself to a person as long as he is attached to work. You said that to Keshav Sen. Master, what did I say? M, as long as the baby plays with the toy and forgets everything else, the mother looks after her cooking and other household duties. But when the baby throws away the toy and cries, then the mother puts down the rice pot and comes to the baby. You said another thing that day. Lakshmana asked Rama where one could find God. After a great deal of explanation, Rama said to him, brother, I dwell in the man in whom you find ecstatic love, a love which makes him laugh and weep and dance and sing. Master, Ami, Ami. Sri Ramakrishna sat in silence a few minutes. M, that day you spoke only words of renunciation to Ishan. Since then, many of us have come to our senses. Now we are eager to reduce our duties. You said that day, Ravana died in Ceylon and Bahula wept bitterly for him. Ramakrishna laughed aloud. M humbly, sir, isn't it desirable to reduce the number of one's duties and entanglements? Master, yes, but it is a different thing if you happen to come across a sadhu or a poor man, then you should serve him. M, and that day you spoke very rightly to Ishan about flatterers. They are like vultures on a carcass. You once said that to Padmalochan also. Master, no, to Vamandas of Ulo. After a while, M sat on the floor near the small couch. Sri Ramakrishna felt sleepy. He said to M, go to sleep. Where is Gopal? Please shut the door. The next morning, Sri Ramakrishna left his bed very early. As usual, he chanted the holy names of the different gods and goddesses. Now and then he looked at the sacred river. The morning worship began in the temples of Radhakanta and Mother Kali. M had spent the night on the floor of the master's room. He left his bed and watched the worship in the different temples. Sri Ramakrishna finished his bath and went with him to the Kali temple. He asked the disciple to lock the door of his room. In the temple, he took the seat in front of the image of Kali and offered flowers, sometimes at her feet and sometimes on his own head. He fanned the deity. Then he returned to his room and asked him to unlock the door. Entering the room, he sat on the small couch. He was completely overwhelmed with divine fervor and began to chant the name of God. M sat alone on the floor. Sri Ramakrishna began to sing about the Divine Mother. Who is there that can understand what Mother Kali is? Even the 6 darshanas are powerless to reveal her. It is she, the scriptures say, that is the inner self of the yogi who in self discovers all his joy. She that of her own sweet will inhabits every living being. Then he sang, all creation is the sport of my mad Mother Kali. By her Maya, the 3 worlds are bewitched. He continued, O Kali, who can know thee? Numberless are thy forms. Again he sang, O Mother, Redeem me speedily from the terror of the king of death. I am about to die. M said to himself, I wish you would sing. Mother, thou canst not trick me any more, for I have seen thy crimson lotus feet. Strangely enough, no sooner had the thought passed through M's mind than Sri Ramakrishna sang the song. A few minutes later, he said to M, what do you think of the present state of my mind? M smiling, it is your simple and natural state. Sri Ramakrishna sang to himself the following refrain from a song. Unless a man is simple, he cannot recognize God, the simple one. And that ended that day. We're starting the next chapter, which is Bankim Chandra. Saturday, December 6, 1884. Adhar, a great devotee of Sri Ramakrishna, lived in Shobha Bazar in the northern section of Calcutta. Almost every day, after finishing his hard work at the office and returning home in the late afternoon, he paid Sri Ramakrishna a visit. From his home in Calcutta, he would go to Dakshineshwar in a hired carriage. His sole delight was to visit the master. But he would hear very little of what Sri Ramakrishna said. For after saluting the master and visiting the temples, he would lie down at the master's request on a mat spread on the floor and would soon fall asleep. At 9 or 10 o'clock, he would be awakened to return home. However, he considered him blessed to be able to visit the God-man of Dakshineshwar. At Adhar's request, Sri Ramakrishna often visited his home. His visits were occasions for religious festivals. Devotees in large numbers would assemble, and Adhar would feed them sumptuously. One day, while Sri Ramakrishna was visiting his home, Adhar said to him, Sir, you haven't come to our house for a long time. The rooms seem gloomy. They had a musty smell. But today the whole house is cheerful. The sweetness of your presence fills the atmosphere. Today I called on God earnestly. I even shed tears while praying. Is that so? The master said tenderly, casting a kindly glance on his disciple. Sri Ramakrishna arrived at Adhar's house with his attendants. Everyone was in a joyous mood. Adhar had arranged a rich feast. Many strangers were present. At Adhar's invitation, several other deputy magistrates had come. They wanted to watch the master and judge his holiness. Among them was Bankim Chandra Chatterjee, perhaps the greatest literary figure of Bengal during the latter part of the 19th century. He was one of the creators of modern Bengali literature and wrote on social and religious subjects. Bankim was a product of the contact of India with England. He gave modern interpretations of the Hindu scriptures and advocated drastic social reforms. Sri Ramakrishna had been talking happily with the devotees when Adhar introduced several of his personal friends to him. Adhar introducing Bankim. Sir, he is a great scholar and has written many books. He has come here to see you. His name is Bankim Babu. Master smiling, Bankim. And there's a footnote here. Literally, the word means bent or curved. Bankim, well, what has made you bent? Bankim smiling. Why, sir, boots are responsible for it. The kicks of our white masters have bent my body. Master, no, my dear sir. Sri Krishna was bent on account of his ecstatic love. His body was bent in 3 places, owing to his love for Radha. That is how some people explain Sri Krishna's form. Do you know why he has a deep blue complexion and why he is of such small stature, only 3.5 cubits measured by his own hand? God looks so as long as he is seen from a distance. So the water of the ocean looks blue from afar. But if you go near the ocean and take the water in your hand, you will no longer find it blue. It will be very clear, transparent. So the sun appears small because it is very far away. If you go near it, you will no longer find it small. When one knows the true nature of God, he appears neither blue nor small. But that is a far-off vision. One does not see it except in samadhi. As long as I and you exist, name and form will also exist. Everything is God's Leela, his sportive pleasure. As long as a man is conscious of I and you, he will experience the manifestations of God through diverse forms. Sri Krishna is the Purusha. Srimati, another name for Radhika, is his Shakti, the primal power. The two are Purusha and Prakriti. What is the meaning of the Yugala Murti, the co-joined images of Radha and Krishna? It is that Purusha and Prakriti are not different. There is no difference between them. Purusha cannot exist without Prakriti, and Prakriti cannot exist without Purusha. If you mention the one, the other is understood. It is like fire and its power to burn. One cannot think of fire without its power to burn. Again, one cannot think of fire's power to burn without fire. Therefore, in the co-joined images of Radha and Krishna, Krishna's eyes are fixed on Radha and Radha's on Krishna. Radha's complexion is golden, like lightning, so Krishna wears yellow apparel. Krishna's complexion is blue, like a dark cloud, so Radha wears a blue dress. She has also decked herself with blue sapphires. Radha has tinkling anklets, so Krishna has them too. In other words, there is inner and outer harmony between Purusha and Prakriti. As Sri Ramakrishna finished these words, Bankim and his friends began to whisper in English. Master smiling to Bankim and the others. Well, gentlemen, what are you talking about in English? Adhar, we were discussing what you have said, your explanation of Krishna's form. Master smiling. That reminds me of a funny story. It makes me want to laugh. Once a barber was shaving a gentleman. The latter was cut slightly by the razor. At once he cried out, "Damn." But the barber didn't know the meaning of the word. He put his razor and other shaving articles aside, tucked up his shirt sleeves, it was winter, and said, "You said damn to me. Now you must tell me its meaning." The gentleman said, "Don't be silly. Go on with your shaving. The word doesn't mean anything in particular, but shave a little more carefully." But the barber wouldn't let him off so easily. He said, "If damn means something good, then I am a dam. My father is a dam and all my ancestors are dams." Everyone laughed. "But if it means something bad, then you are a dam, your father is a dam, and all your ancestors are dams." All laugh. They are not only dams, but damn. And there was loud laughter. As the laughter stopped, Bankim began the conversation. Bankim, "Sir, why don't you preach?" Master smiling, "Preaching? It is only a man's vanity that makes him think of preaching. A man is but an insignificant creature. It is God alone who will preach. God who has created the sun and moon and so illumined the universe. Is preaching such a trifling affair? You cannot preach unless God reveals himself to you and gives you the command to preach. Of course, no one can stop you from preaching. You haven't received the command, but still you cry yourself hoarse. People will listen to you a couple of days and then forget all about it. It is like any other sensation. As long as you speak, people will say, "Ah, he speaks well." And the moment you stop, everything will disappear. The milk in the pot hisses and swells as long as there is heat under it. Take away the heat, and the milk will quiet down as before. One must increase one's strength by sadhana. Otherwise, one cannot preach. As the proverb goes, you have no room to sleep yourself, and you invite a friend to sleep with you. There is no place for you to lie down, and you say, "Come, friend, come and lie down with me." Laughter. Some people used to befoul the bank of the Haldapukur in Kamarpukur every morning. The villagers would notice it and abuse the offenders, but that didn't stop it. At last, the villagers filed a petition with the government. An officer visited the place and put up a sign, "Commit no nuisance. Offenders will be punished." That stopped it completely. Afterwards, there was no more trouble. It was a government order and everyone had to obey it. Likewise, if God reveals himself to you and gives you the command, then you can preach and teach people. Otherwise, who will listen to you? The visitors were listening seriously. Master to Bankim, I understand you are a great pundit and have written many books. Please tell me what you think about man's duties. What will accompany him after death? You believe in the hereafter, don't you? Bankim, the hereafter? What is that? Master, true. When a man dies after attaining knowledge, he doesn't have to go to another plane of existence. He isn't born again. But as long as he has not attained knowledge, as long as he has not realized God, he must come back to the life of this earth. He cannot escape it. For such a person, there is a hereafter. A man is liberated after attaining knowledge, after realizing God. For him, there is no further coming back to earth. If a boiled paddy grain is sown, it doesn't sprout. Just so, if a man is boiled by the fire of knowledge, he cannot take part anymore in the play of creation. He cannot lead a worldly life, for he has no attachment to lust and greed. What will you gain by sowing boiled paddy? Bankim smiling, Sir, neither does a weed serve the purpose of a tree. Master, but you cannot call a jnani a weed. He who has realized God has obtained the fruit of immortality, not a common fruit like a gourd or a pumpkin. He is free from rebirth. He is not born anywhere on earth, in the solar world, or in the lunar world. Analogy is one-sided. You are a pundit. Haven't you read logic? Suppose you say that a man is as terrible as a tiger. That doesn't mean that he has a fearful tail or a tiger's pot face. I'll laugh. I said the same thing to Keshav. He asked me, Sir, is there an afterlife? I didn't commit myself either way. I said that the potters put their pots in the sun to bake. Among them, you see both baked and soft pots. Sometimes cattle trample over them. When the baked pots are broken, the potters throw them away. But when the soft ones are broken, they keep them. They put them in water and they They mix them with water and put the clay on the wheel and make new pots. They don't throw away the unbaked pots. So I said to Keshav, the potter won't let you go as long as you are unbaked. He will put you on the wheel of the world as long as you have not attained knowledge, as long as you have not realized him. He won't let you go. You will have to return to the earth again and again. There is no escape. You will be liberated only when you realize God. Then alone will the potter let you go. It is because then you won't serve any purpose in this world of Maya. The Jnani has gone beyond Maya. What will he do in this world of Maya? But God keeps some Jnanis in the world of Maya to be teachers of men. In order to teach others, the Jnani lives in the world with the help of Vidya Maya. It is God himself who keeps the Jnani in the world for his work. Such was the case with Shukadeva and Shankaracharya. And to Bankim smiling, well, what do you say about man's duties? And I think we'll leave that till next Saturday. And we'll see you then. This is a cliffhanger. What will you do about men's duties? Now, does anyone have any questions or comments? Someone raise their hand? Okay, well then we'll see you next Saturday and we'll end with a chant. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.